You're listening to Switched On Australia, the podcast that tracks the opportunities and challenges of electrifying everything, everywhere. Switched On is brought to you by the publishers of Renew Economy, Australia's best informed, most read website focusing on the green energy transition, and is supported by Boundless Earth. Boundless Earth uses philanthropy, investment and direct advocacy to help Australia become a global force in a decarbonised world. Hello and welcome to Switched On Australia. I'm Anne Delaney. Thanks for tuning in. Now, you might remember that in previous episodes of Switched On, we've looked at embedded networks, particularly in big apartment complexes. Embedded networks are basically private, site-specific systems that sit behind one grid connection and supply multiple customers inside that same property. In theory, they sound like a great thing, but in reality, they're often run by commercial operators whose interests don't align with the people who end up using the energy. They can be a total rip-off where consumers don't have much choice and can't even walk away. But embedded networks don't have to be that way. Today, we're heading to the Central Coast of New South Wales to Narara Ecovillage. This is what's known as an intentional, sustainability-focused community. It's over 20 years old and it's built its own embedded network. Narara have set up their own retailer that they run as a not-for-profit, NEV Power. It's member-owned by the people who actually live at Narara. NEV Power began as a way to support the village's commitment to energy-efficient homes, rooftop solar and shared renewable resources, including a community battery. Today, it also provides reliability during grid outages, smart energy sharing across homes, and a model of demand management that relies on cooperation rather than coercion. But as you'll hear today, its success depends on technical skills, volunteer labour, and a shared mission, not something every community has. Dave Parris is an electrical engineer and one of two people who run NEV Power. He's in charge of the technical side of things. Dave Parris, thanks so much for joining the Switched On podcast today. Can I just start with just a broad question about what Narara Ecovillage is? Tell me what it is and what NEV Power's role is in the village.
Well, it's an intentional community. So about 25 years ago, my wife set out to create a community where she could interact with the neighbours, basically. And she spent a lot of time developing Narara, and with a lot of help from a lot of people, we've got to a stage where we've got 60 homes here and we've got another 40 to be built to make it about 120 homes.
And just give me an overview of the renewable resources you have in the village and the sustainability resources that you have.
So our first commitment was to energy efficient homes. So all the homes, except for a couple, are new, and so we have building standards that guide home builders about insulation and how to basically use sustainable materials. Our house, for example, is a hemp house. We've got a variety of houses in the village where it's not prescribed how you achieve a result, but we do prescribe that you should have enough solar PV on your roof to satisfy your annual needs. And so that translates to about 4 kilowatts of PV for most homes, but a lot of homeowners have put in a lot more than that and are taking the next step to put batteries in.
And what about the community resources that you have? Because you also have a community battery, don't you?
Yes, so part of our goals as a sustainable community was to try and be self-sufficient in food, in water, not generate off-site waste, and also to be self-sufficient in energy. Now that becomes hard when you're using internal combustion engines and things, but as more and more people are getting EV, we're seeing that PV is ideal for those people who can charge from home. And so initially we got an ARENA grant, about $600,000 battery and a smart grid. And the ARENA grant helped us 40%, and it was 1.2 million. So the total cost was about 3 to 4 million to put in our smart grid.
And you actually have established an embedded network. Now, a lot of people haven't even heard of these embedded networks. We've had a couple of people on the program already who have pointed out some of the problems with embedded networks, particularly for large scale apartment blocks. Can you just explain why NEV Power went with an embedded network?
In a normal development, you'd put in the electricity network and hand it over to Ausgrid. When we worked with our consultant engineers, they advised that for the large amount of power that you're producing to export, as you know, in the middle of the day, most people have got surplus power. We needed to put in what's called a tap changing transformer, which Ausgrid wasn't prepared to offer us. So we became a high voltage customer with one metering point at 11 kV. So that's not the usual voltage that you distribute power around. So we built our own underground network, imported this transformer from France, and basically set up a subsidiary called NEV Power to run the network and to act as a retailer. So we came under the exempt registration rules for retailers and network under the AER. That was a fairly painless process, but of course you've got to have people with good accounting skills and regulatory skills to manage the retail side, and people with very good engineering and electrical skills to run your own power network.
And did you have all those resources, or did you actually have to subcontract the electrical engineers and some of those people with those specialist skills?
Yes, so for establishment, and I'd recommend any community that is considering connecting as an embedded network, we had a consulting engineer who did a lot of the work to allow connection to the Ausgrid network. This was particularly more difficult when we introduced the battery. So the connecting via the transformer was pretty straightforward. But when you add the battery, we needed extra level of sophistication. And so we're lucky to have engineering and electrical skills amongst our members. I'm an electrical engineer myself, but still we needed outside help with these connections.
There are issues with embedded networks insofar as, users can't choose another retail provider. There's no competition when it comes to setting tariffs. What limitations have you encountered with the embedded network model?
The biggest issue, I think, is understanding the regulatory environment and the changes that are brewing.
Yeah.
We haven't got the resources to contribute to the discussion on what changes are needed to make embedded networks fairer. But in our network, the customers are actually our members who are the owners of NEV Power. So we've got a pretty direct sort of feedback loop if customers aren't happy with how NEV Power is performing. We do have some issues where people say, why can't we have what's offered on outside the network? So that's definitely one issue where some people would like, for example, to go through another retailer and maybe get a battery that way. We've decided in stage one anyway to centralise the battery because it meant that we could all basically share the benefits. Some people couldn't afford it and others contributed. So that was only possible with the help of the ARENA grant.
Yeah.
For stage 2, where home batteries are now more affordable, we're keen on encouraging our members to either buy a home battery or in time use their electric vehicles for vehicle to grid.
So would you say the fact that you have I suppose, a broader mission for the community, and that is one of sustainability, and as you say, it's an intentional community. Would you say that that is the grounding force that makes the embedded network work?
Yes, I would think that most people who come and become part of our village want to live more sustainably, and they understand that renewable power is what's needed for the future. We can quite easily demonstrate to our members the success of running our own network. For example, we've had 3 Ausgrid outages in as many weeks, one for about 10 hours. And of course, our houses didn't even know there was an outage,
Right.
which means we've got to speak up and tell them, because otherwise they think, oh, well, why don't we just join, the Ausgrid network or whatever. Yeah, there are equity issues. At times, we use home batteries to help the network get through when our own battery comes through. And as more and more people get home batteries, we'll have to work out ways to fairly compensate them for drawing down on their batteries at critical times.
So when you say that you get people to use their home batteries, that's almost like a form of, demand management, managing the whole community's electricity and power needs, and you call on certain houses which have excess, I presume.
Yes, that's where we're going. We want to have a fair regime where people consent and allow us to draw when we're short. We've tried to get the balance right. For example, one of the benefits of having an embedded network is that we share the renewable power first before we export it. So if for some reason somebody's charging their car and hasn't got enough PV, then of course their neighbour's power is used.
Mm.
It is quite complicated to make that arrangement fair, both in sharing PV and sharing home batteries, and so that's sort of a work in progress to try and come up with the right allocation of benefits and costs.
Well, what do you find is the greatest complication there?
I think that we're all volunteers, and it's running a network is hard enough without getting to the sophistication of trying to have real time tracking of who's doing what, where, and what the market's doing at the same time.
Will technology help you there when you?
It certainly will. Yeah, we're fortunate that we've got quite a few guys with IT and engineering skills on strength, as well as John Ellis is an accountant by training and is very good at managing the bills, but a little bit more automation would help everybody.
I did hear that you were also using, SMS and Slack alerts for the members of the village, when you needed them to pull back from their energy use. Is that still happening?
Yes, so we have a communication channel available to all our members called Slack, and that's our primary channel of telling them every day, what state the battery is. So, when as the battery charges each morning, we tell them what state it is, and so when there's surplus, go and charge your car or turn on your air conditioning if it's a hot day. Similarly, if the battery's low, we try and ask them to defer any large loads. So we also have a backup as an SMS for some people.
Dave, tell me, why did NEV Power decide to stay connected to the wider grid rather than go fully off-grid, given you do have some sizable resources, renewable resources?
So the main thing, the reason that we've got such a large transformer is for our export. With our 60 homes, we have surplus 300 kilowatts. When we've got the next batch of homes, let's say it's double that, 600 kilowatts. So it's not insignificant. And there was a feeling, and, we've been developing this grid for 10 years, that it's much better for our renewable power to be made available, to our neighbours in our suburb and down the street. And that's why we were quite happy to export power. And of course, we received some feed-in tariff at the early days. That's now gone, and we're looking at other possibilities for using that surplus renewable power.
In terms of things actually on site, you mean?
Well, yes, on site or maybe, trading in the market, get some value for it.
Yes.
But,
So going with amber, for instance, that gives you access to the wholesale market. Can you do
yes,
that?
we've actually gone with local volts, who gives us
Okay.
access to the wholesale market. My long-term preference would be to, I don't know, if it was cheap enough, just turn our excess energy in the 3 seasons when we have it into hydrogen, so we could get by through winter. We do have times when we're short of renewable power and we've got to import. We might have a week of overcast weather, and we probably need a longer term storage solution.
Alternatively, if more of the homes get the cheaper home batteries, which are now available from the federal government, would that get you through winter or not?
That would certainly help, and same with electric vehicles having quite
Mm.
large batteries. They can power homes for a week, so that would be an even better solution.
Mm. You mentioned that you're exporting 300 kilowatts, which obviously is sizable. Is that actually challenging the capacity of Ausgrid there?
No, we got the studies done and got approval quite a while ago to have this 1 MVA of export, or 1,000 kilowatts. That's been working so far, and we haven't had any pushback from Ausgrid, although it took a while to get the approvals in the first place.
Okay, we'll take a short break and we'll be back in just a minute.
G'day, Alex Carey here. The Goodwee ESA all-in-one home storage solution is here, and it's a game changer. It's packed with market-leading features, full home backup and 6-level battery protection. With up to 48 kilowatt hours in a single stack, the ESA is a breeze to install with no gateway needed. The Goodwee ESA series is available now and priced to cover the 2026 drop in the rebate. Visit goodwee.com.au for more information.
My guest today on Switched On is Dave Parris from NEV Power. This is the retailer and embedded network established by Narara Ecovillage, an intentional community on the Central Coast of New South Wales that supplies power to around 60 houses. So Dave, when you added the community battery to the village in late 2021, what did that enable you to do?
Well, just about with a reasonable day every night for 3 seasons, we can get through with our 60 houses without drawing any power between 5 o'clock at night and 7 in the morning. And then, of
Yeah,
course, the
right.
PV's coming up. So we can get by using the battery. And so we generally are not pulling much power in from the grid. But the battery was sized for stage 1, and we've got a second stage now with another 40 homes being built. So a centralised battery isn't envisaged to increase the battery capacity. It's much better to use the home battery scheme,
Yeah.
and we're really been keeping our eye on vehicle to grid developments because so many people here have got electric vehicles.
Yes, we're all keeping our eye on vehicle to grid developments, aren't we? We've been waiting a while. I was wondering about how you establish the tariffs because you've still got to charge people for the power that they use. How have you settled on that?
Well, our current tariff has a big incentive to use power during the daytime. So it's a 20-cent tariff in daytime and a 60-cent tariff at nighttime. So we regard our battery power as very special. And if people want to charge their car or run up their air conditioner, do it in daytime. But if you need to do it sort of in the night, then you just have to pay a bit more.
Mm. Are you actually limiting the amount of power that people can put into the grid in any way or not?
No, basically, we haven't had any issue with homeowners wanting to put too much PV on the roof. I myself have got 11 kV
Mm.
kilowatts. Sorry, there's a few other people, and they at that level we ask that they use 3-phase power, but up to about 10, we're happy to just stay with single phase.
And tell me, it's just been announced that the new solar sharers scheme by the federal government, where everybody's going to get 3 hours of free power in the middle of the day, that'll start in the middle of next year. What impact do you think that will have for Narara?
Oh, I think that's a terrific scheme in that we've even been considering something like that ourselves, certainly for 3 seasons when we do have surplus.
Mm.
And I think that it just means that homeowners will be just that more mindful of when to charge their car or heat their home or air condition their home.
I was wondering, it's kind of a tricky balance the way that you're describing it. On the one hand, you're a community cooperative, and on the other, you're actually a regulated energy provider. Is that a tricky balance?
It is because we generally don't fit the aim of the regulation, which is for embedded networks anyway, to protect customers. I mean, basically because our members are our customers, they're free to speak up and contribute to how we operate. We struggle a bit with some of the imposts that are designed for a broader type of embedded network.
I mean, essentially, your success and the future of NEV Power really is contingent on a few individuals, isn't it?
Yes, unfortunately, we're fairly slim in terms of we've got some very good skills, but not with a lot of time. Some people have got full-time jobs and families. Others have got a bit more time, but not as skilled. And so, yeah, it takes quite a bit of balance. And I would say that's for other communities trying to run their own networks. I would say that would be one of the bigger issues, that you do need such a wide variety of skills to make a run a network safely, and B, keep up as a retailer with what the market's doing.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because some people, even though they are part of an intentional community with a shared vision of sustainability, not everyone wants to be an energy nerd.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've got the whole chart of people who are early adopters. We've got quite a few of them, but we've got other people who just say, I just want to turn the light switch on and for everything to work.
Do you think, though, to ensure that everybody's on board with what NEV Power is doing for the community, that there's an extra level of communication and buy-in, I suppose, from the members of the village that a lot of other, obviously, retailers don't have?
Yes, I think that's certainly for sure, that in our community here, most people want to facilitate the use of renewable energy, to demonstrate that as a community, that's an option for governments to consider. And I have to say, having worked about 40 years on large scale power projects and centralised power system, we're demonstrating here where you can take a variable resource like solar PV, put it into a battery, and then draw it out in a variable load at 6 o'clock at night or whatever. It's just got to be part of the solution. I think governments are now realising that, even though we started on this journey 10 or 12 years ago.
But bringing the community with you, that takes a level of communication that isn't there for your average retailer. Surely there's something there about the communication that seems really imperative to me.
I think you're right. It's sort of a problem for us too, as a small team, even to keep.
Of volunteers, yes.
Yeah, the energy transition's happening so fast, and it's just amazing what's been achieved in recent years. But it is dynamic, and we certainly struggle to keep abreast of what's going on and to inform our members. And I'm sure even retailers with a lot of customers and a lot of resources are still trying to work out how to make the best offering and make it work financially.
Have you got any lessons for other retailers, for instance, in terms of the way that they deal with customers?
I wish we could say that we've got the happiest set of customers. I just don't think, other than good communication.
Not everyone's happy, obviously.
Not everybody's happy. Most people are happy most of the time, but there are some issues that come up, and we've got to deal with them. And it takes a lot of time and effort and a lot of explanation. And it's a complex system, a power system. Some things are outside our control, and other things sometimes go wrong, and we've got to learn our lessons from that.
Do you see NEV Power as a model for other communities to follow, or do you think it only works in places like Narara with a certain level of buy-in and commitment?
I think definitely there are quite a few other communities. I'm thinking rural country towns, for example, where people are generally committed to sustainable energy, where this could work. But it's probably a hard model for an apartment building or a caravan park or some of the other sort of embedded energy options.
With different interests, with a whole lot of people
Yes.
with very different interests. Yeah.
And different abilities to generate their own power. You can't really do that in a caravan park or a multi-story apartment building.
No. And what advice would you give to those communities which do have some intentionality about them, or to councils thinking about setting up an embedded renewable network?
Well, I think that we should be encouraging councils and other communities where they can have their own PV or even wind power, to get a core group of people and try and get some professional advice for some of the technical aspects, but go forward with whatever help they can receive from either council or governments. We were lucky to have quite a bit of government support in our early days. New South Wales government helped us do a feasibility study. That's certainly a part of our future energy, rather than necessarily wanting to build all large-scale answers to the future supply of energy.
Is there anything that you would have done differently now with hindsight in terms of setting up the resources you have, in terms of setting up the embedded network that you have?
I don't think, looking back, that we would have done much differently. We've just been very fortunate to be able to use some very good skills in our members, and where we haven't got those skills, go outside and have the resources to pay for some good help from various consulting engineers. For another community, if they can find a way to resource themselves, that would be the best way forward. That's skills or volunteers or finding some financial backer to assist.
And are there any regulations or practices or policies that you think could have made things easier for a community like yours in doing what you've done?
Well, I think we're just seeing more and more regulation, and for small communities to keep track of that is quite difficult. So I won't be specific about any particular roadblocks, but certainly there is some things that would kill us. For example, if some of our members wanted to have access to another retailer, that would mean that all the benefits of sharing the power would go towards trying to manage an individual customer to be supplied by another retailer. That's one example.
Mm. That's a big one, isn't it? Because certainly in networks, embedded networks in some of the big apartment blocks where there is actually a problem with not having a choice of retailer. I mean, that's largely because the consumer, the actual user of the energy is, let's face it, is often being screwed by the embedded network operator. So as long as you're not doing that to your consumers or users of energy, I don't think that's going to be a problem, Dave.
Yes, we've got to make sure that we listen to what customers are worried about and try and find a way to make them satisfied with what we're doing.
But because if that change did come in, that would totally unravel your model?
Yes, we struggle to keep above water financially anyway, and so it's not going to work too well if we've got these extra costs and administrative burden of trying to look after one customer who for some reason wants to go with another retailer.
Alrighty, well, best of luck with it, Dave. Dave Parris, thanks for joining the Switched On podcast today.
Yes, thanks, Anne.
And Dave Parris is from NEV Power, part of the Narara Ecovillage on the New South Wales Central Coast. And one of the more compelling demonstrations of what an embedded network can be when it's designed for the people who use the energy, not a commercial operator. You've been listening to Switched On Australia, and just letting you know, we'll still be broadcasting through the silly season, so keep listening to more new episodes and some highlights from the year. I'm Anne Delaney. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.